Hey, let's talk about the runes for Alistar. Coming into Season 10, Alistar is one of the legacy supports that I recommend anyone play if you're starting the support role. It's either Zyra or Alistar, like pick one or both and only play those. So anyways, the runes for Alistar haven't changed much coming into Season 10, but they've changed a bit in functionality, not in what you run. So let's go over them. The Keystone we're going to be going with is Aftershock. This puts us in the resolve tree. Aftershock, after CCing a champion, you're going to gain armor and magic resist for a brief period. The amount of armor and magic resist from Season 9 has been reduced, but then the ratio is up. So you're going to have less resistances early, but that doesn't matter so much for Alistar, as whenever he engages on someone, he's going to have that target locked up anyways. So anyone hitting him, at least in, let's say if you confine this to the bot lane, you combo one champion, the other champion can hit you, but then you're still going to have 35 plus a percentage of your bonus armor and magic resist for 2 seconds, right? So, and the damage is kind of increased on this, so that helps Alistar too. It's nice. But the more important thing with Aftershock now is that the cooldown is 20 seconds, and this is pretty low. So you can actually start contending with like poke supports that would say run Electrocute, Arcane Comet, Guardian, etc. Because your Aftershock cooldown can actually beat them. So now, instead of just permanently playing backline and then looking for an all-in as Alistar that has to turn out, you can actually just take multiple combos in lane, and then eventually, if the enemy missteps enough, then you can have a lethal on them or push them out of the lane. So that's pretty interesting the way Aftershock has changed this season, but it's still like the pretty much the same in functionality. But you do have to get more resistances later into the game. So basically, your first item is either going to be Zeke's or Locket like it was previous seasons, but they're going to be giving you more value as the more resistances you have, the more bonus resistances Aftershock's going to offer. Okay, next is going to be Font of Life. Whenever you slow or CC a champion, you're going to mark them, and then whenever your allies attack them, they're going to heal for just a little bit, right? The other two runes in this tree aren't so useful. If you could make value, or if you could get value out of Demolish, say if you had a mage matchup bot lane, then maybe you could run this. But with Font of Life, it's going to make it so that anytime you CC an enemy, or like you're comboing in lane, your AD carry is going to be healing like damage that they're taking from once your AD carry auto attacks a champion, like they're going to take damage from minions. They're going to take damage from the enemy ADC probably, or the enemy support. So the little bit of amounts of damage that they're going to be taking, they're going to heal a little bit of that. So it's nice to offset some of the damage they take in lane. And then come mid game is when you really start getting a lot of value out of Font of Life, as once you mark one target, all four of your allies can start benefiting off of this, and that's when your numbers are really going to ramp up with this rune. So it's a pretty it happens naturally too, so you don't even have to think about using Font of Life. So best rune in this tree, again, unless you're like playing with a mage support, probably just avoid Demolish. Third, I would recommend Second Wind. It's the most generally useful one. In most bot lane matchups that you're going to be playing in Season 10, you're probably going to be playing against a ranged support. So what Second Wind does is after you take damage from an enemy champion, you heal for 4% of your missing health plus 6 over 10 seconds. So like it's very rare that you're going to be taking more than like 2 auto attacks in between like 10 seconds. So every time you take damage, you're going to be healing a little bit too. That on top of Alistar's passive makes it so that if you position yourself to where, let's say, an enemy lane bully like in a matchup into Alistar, like could be Janna, so long that you're taking the damage early from Janna, your AD carry is still going to be fine on health, and then the laning phase is just going to work out better. That, or if the enemy outranges you with a lane like, let's say, Caitlyn Senna, then you're also going to be able to offset the damage that they're doing and then sustain it throughout a laning phase. So that's nice. Even in melee matchups, I think it's kind of hard to get value out of bone plating now. The only way this rune really gives you good value on Alistar is if you're getting hooked, and then it's just not so useful. Because even if you're getting hooked in a laning phase, just don't be in that position to get hooked, right? And then if you're getting hooked mid game, you have your ult anyways. So I don't see a ton of value for bone plating on Alistar right now. If you're playing in a tank versus tank matchup, like let's say Alistar versus Leona, and all ins are just going to decide the lane one way or another, I think conditioning is actually fine now. What conditioning does is after 10 minutes, you gain plus 9 in armor and magic resist, and then it increases your armor and magic resist by 5%. So this usually leaves you with like plus 14 armor and magic resist, depending on like what items you build afterwards. which again is just going to be Zeke's or Locket on Alistar like almost every time. So this has pretty good synergy with Aftershock, but then if you run this and the enemy support doesn't, then you're just going to be a little bit tankier than them for free, which is very interesting. So I think this is an okay option and if you're into a melee versus melee matchup, it's pretty interesting. But melee versus ranged, basically Alistar versus any ranged champion, second win. Okay, so third row, I'm gonna go with Overgrowth. Prior, Relic Shield healed. Now Relic Shield doesn't heal. So the only heal Alistar really has in his kit is his passive. And with any Forbidden Idol item or with Revitalize, if you don't have a heal and a shield, you're losing a ton of value with this. And Alistar's heal isn't going to make or break a fight, right? Especially the extra healing that you're going to get from Revitalize isn't going to make or break a fight. The amount's almost negligible, and it's so low value compared to like a champion like Janna, Taric, etc. Right? Those are the champions who actually want to use this rune, not Alistar. So instead, we're going to go with Overgrowth. What Overgrowth does is it gives you maximum health for being near minions and monsters that die. So basically, just throughout the laning phase, around like 14 minutes, this will be completed, and then you're going to get about a ruby crystal for free. It's such an insanely insanely secret, just secretly like overpowered rune, in my opinion. It's just like a free ruby crystal. 150 health for free. You could do it in combination with this too. Come into the mid game just absolutely tankier than the other champions who wouldn't run this. So, and the only thing you're giving up for it would be unflinching on Alistar. What unflinching offers most tank supports is tenacity and slow resist, but Alistar doesn't need that because he has his ult, and he has a gap closer, and he has like pretty good use of his flash. So this is really useless. That, and let's say lower cooldown champions like Leona, Nautilus, they benefit more from unflinching as it helps them stay on top of targets because their cooldowns are way lower. Alistar, on the other hand, his cooldowns are way longer, so he might as well be CC'd. And while he's CC'd or slowed, he can take more damage because he just has more health from Overgrowth. So really like this rune. It's pretty good on most tank supports. Secondary tree, it's going to be Inspiration, the first rune. Going to go with his Hextech Flash. What Hextech Flash offers is whenever your flash is on cooldown, you have a Hextech Flash that's in place of it, and then whenever you channel the Hextech Flash, it takes a couple of seconds, but then you move barely forward as if you flashed, right? So whenever you're in a bush, so let's say you've killed your lane by flashing on them once, and then you come back to lane, you can sit in a bush and then channel this Hextech Flash, and then if you're in range of the enemy, then you can combo them again. It's basically like an attack from the Fog of War versus just walking at the enemy with Alistar. So it's a kind of a hack of a rune in that sense, but in solo queue, it's going to work forever, basically. So very nice rune. You could run Perfect Timing instead, but so like Hextech Flash just stays being broken in solo queue because nobody has most players won't have the foresight of playing around the Fog of War, and then getting a kill because of that is so absolutely valuable. Second rune in the inspiration tree is going to be Biscuit Delivery. Biscuit Delivery restores 10% of your missing health and mana, and then increases your maximum mana. So you get 4 of these, so it increases your maximum mana by 150, and then you can also sell these for 30 gold each, and then if you sell them, then you're also going to be getting the maximum mana. So these can help you in an all-in as they restore missing health. So like, let's say as you would combo, if you were around 30% health, that's when you would use it. And then if you don't end up using them in lane, then you could just sell them, and then they kind of offset the initial cost of like control wards in the laning phase. So that's nice. And then if you end up not building into something like, let's say Zeke's, where it has mana in the item, let's say you build Locket first, then you're not going to be feeling so bad by missing out on like having maximum mana because of these. So it's a pretty nice offset rune. Again, you could run Cosmic Insight instead of it. You could run Dematerializer instead of it. You could even run Futures Market to get Boots of Mobility faster. So Futures Market's actually a pretty interesting option coming into Season 10, as you don't have to upgrade the support item. And then the last runes is going to be Attack Speed, Armor, Magic Resist. This is the most standard, as it's going to give you double resistances, and then the attack speed's just once you combo on top of someone, just gives you more attacks. CDR is okay, but attack speed helps you with actually dealing damage once you're on top of someone, but then it also helps you with clearing wards. and then also pushing minion waves. So it has way more dual purpose than a scaling CDR rune on support, because you're not going to be getting many levels on support. Most champions are going to cap out around like level 11 come mid game with the way experience works in season 10. If you're playing into, like, let's say Caitlyn Senna, just take double armor. If you're playing into, let's say, Draven Thresh, you could take double armor. If you're playing into, let's say, hyper carries like Varus Kog'Maw, you could take armor health, as the health is going to help you more come mid game, and then in combination with Overgrowth, because champions like Kog'Maw could shred you mid game regardless of you having your ult on, so having more maximum health would help a lot more. But these are the most default runes that I recommend on Alistar. And to be honest, there's not much variation. All the secondary runes are very, very useless for Alistar, which is why you basically just only see this page. So yeah, a brief build would be something you would get: Relic Shield, Boots of Mobility, Zeke's Herald, Locket, a bunch of control words if you're looking for a build for Alistar. So these are the runes I recommend. Again, if you're looking to play support, Zyra or Alistar, just play both of those, and then whichever one you like most, play 100 games of those, see where you end up. Okie doke. If this video helped, or if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll respond to literally all of them. Leave a like on the video if it helped, and check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/SawyerNelson. Once season 10's live, I'll be playing there. So bye bye. Hope this helped. See ya.